This is Benjiphonik. I got old.
You ever done tape to tape, cassette to cassette? Then you're the old school. You ever say funky fresh? Oh, yo, that's death. Then you're the old school. You ever rock British nights, black and white so tight? Then you're the old school. You ever bomb rappers delight or shout dynamite? Then you're the really old school. What you gonna do when the days go away? I'ma shave it on down, make music all day. What you gonna do when the hands turn gray? They already gray, babe. What you trying to say? I got old. No way. Way. I got old. Say what? What? I got old. Hey, one more time. I got old. Hey, hey, hey. You ever pop lock to the BA1 on the street? Then you're the old school. You ever search the back of stores, cardboard for your floors? Then you're the old school. You ever stop, hammer time, battle cats with some rhymes? Then you're the old school. You ever dial 867-5309? Then you're the really old school. What you gonna do when the days go away? I'ma shave it on down, make music all day. What you gonna do when the hands turn gray? They already gray, babe. What you trying to say? I got old. No way. Way. I got old. Say what? What? I got old. Hey, one more time. I got old. We got old. Hey, hey, hey. You ever booty bounce your seat, moonwalk with your feet? Then you're the old school. You ever play Kumo D or Bismarcky? Then you're the old school. You ever make a boombox scream like Radio Raheem? Then you're the old school. You ever see DJ run Funky 4+1? Then you're the really old school. I got old. No way. Way. I got old. Say what? What? I got old. It's okay. Hey, one more time. I got old. We got old. Hey, what you gonna do when the days go away? I got old. Say what? What? I got old. What you gonna do when the hands turn gray? I got old. It's okay. Hey, hey, hey.
I got old. Some great beats, some great words. Benjiphonik. I got old.
This is Chit and Chat, the Encouraging One Another podcast, where it's all about encouragement.
Hello, and welcome to Chit and Chat, the Encouraging One Another podcast. I hope you're sitting down today with your seatbelt fastened because we are going on a wild, wild ride with my guest today. As I began researching him, his music has taken me in all kinds of directions. I kid you not. I cannot wait to pick his brain and see how he ticks and where his inspiration comes from his music, and perhaps who inspired him and who has encouraged him along his musical career. Ben Stewart, aka Benjiphonik, is here to give the world just what's been looking for, with a bald, skinny funk dancing nerd beat spitting rhymes. Ben Stewart has embarked on an alternative rock and hip hop journey that may just save your life, or at least make you giggle. With a focus on creating classic music, mural beats, fun, entertaining rhymes, Benjiphonik is on a mission. If you bring the funk, they will bring the dance. I'm excited to talk with Ben Stewart today, Benjiphonik, here on the Chit and Chat, encouraging one another podcast.
Well, hello.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
How's Monday going for you?
You know, as Mondays go, it's pretty good. I had a gig this weekend up in Santa Cruz, California, and so it's the I had to drive back down. It's the post gig, putting everything away. And,
I saw that
reacclimating.
home of the narwhals, right?
Yeah, there's a fun story behind that. So I did a music video for a song called Falling in Love, and I made up an imaginary school called the Riverside Narwhals in the video. And so I got banners made, one for because it was set in the past, and then it like fast forwards to modern time. And so in the past, it's the Riverside Narwhal Spring Dance, and then it's the Riverside Narwhals high school reunion. So I've been going to gigs with the high school reunion banner and saying, "They hired me for your high school reunion. I hope that's all right."
That's awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, he's my friend now, Mr. Ben Stewart, aka Benjiphonik. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Hey, I'm stoked to be here.
Before we dive into the fun conversations, I love picking my guest's brain with icebreaker questions. I love just throwing things at people. I have 5. The reason I have 5 is this little portion is brought to you by Tequiza. They're a taco shop here in the area of 5 kinds of tacos. Are you a tacoaholic?
I'm not afraid to eat lots of tacos.
I also found out October 4th is Taco Day. So just a heads up, you might want to dive into some tacos on October 4th.
I love it. October 4th, that way you have like the Oktoberfest thing going on, but you also have like National Taco Day. You can really mix and match.
All right, question number 1, 2-parter. What 2 things are you considered really good at and really bad at?
All right. First thing I'm awesome at, baking cookies.
Oh.
I can bake a mean cookie, molasses cookie, snickerdoodle, chocolate chip, you name it. I can do it. Persimmon cookies. I'm not afraid. And then something that I'm incredibly bad at is actually sight reading music. I've been a professional musician now for going on almost 29 years, 30 years, and I didn't even learn how to read music until I was in my 40s.
Wow.
and so which I'm in now. And so it took me forever. I guess Paul McCartney didn't learn. He never really learned to formally read music, and he figured it out at some point later on in his career, like past Wings or something like that, and then wrote a symphony. I have not written a symphony, but I'm terrible at reading music.
Yeah, I can get by probably. I mean, a little bit, high school and whatnot. I can carry a tune, but yeah, I'm with you. My wife is a really good sight reader, but I know the bass line. That's about it.
Right. Well, and I can read music. It's just gonna take me a while. So that's So you asked for 2 things. Another thing that I'm good at is I don't know if I'm good at, but I'm certainly prolific at writing music. It's definitely a love, and it's a passion, um, and the last few years I've really had opportunities to play in a myriad of genres because I've done some scoring for a few TV pilots, and then
Oh, wow.
movie, and I've got to do theme songs for a couple movies, which was really cool. mostly indie work, like independent films, independent, TV pilots and that kind of stuff. But it's allowed me to play country music. It's allowed me to play, straight up rock music or metal, folk music, and hip hop. And so I've really, that's been a joy, being able to just, stretch my abilities and try and figure it out. So another thing that I'm terrible at, let's see, I'm terrible at remembering names. Here's a great story. So I played in a band called Conspiracy of Thought. It was a touring band, and we went all over the United States, and we were getting radio support, doing all kinds of cool stuff. And we would play gigs sometimes in our hometown, and we'd have like fans that had been our fans for years, and they'd come up and they'd say like, "Hey Ben, how you doing? Oh man, that was a great show." And I'd say, "Hi, Kai, I'm so glad you're here." And I felt like my wife knew everyone's name. She's a school teacher. She knows everybody's name. And I was like, "Oh, buddy, I'm really glad to see you again." And I knew them, like I knew the people. I don't know why, but I can't. I'm terrible with names.
If you say with "Hey buddy," you're probably pretty good. You're "Hey buddy."
Hey buddy. Oh, you knew my name was Buddy. Oh yeah, I did.
All right, question number 2. What tech innovation made the most impact in your life?
What type of innovation made the most impact?
Tech innovation.
Tech innovation. You know what? Honestly, and I mean, maybe this is a little pedantic, but the computer, you being able to use the computer for literally all the aspects of my career has been just life-changing. I mean, first of all, my first home studio, I was able to, start recording in because GarageBand, because my Mac had GarageBand. So I started tooling around with that. And then I graduated and bumped up to Logic and started doing that. Same thing went with, doing basic graphic design stuff, and then moving up to doing, Photoshop work. And now now I have a Mac, and I use, Logic for all the tracking for all the music, including the movies that I've scored or work that I've done, all from my computer and my home studio. I'm able to do all of my band and musical projects here in my home studio, and it's all on the computer, including all the graphic design, and all of my music videos I edit using Final Cut Pro, and so, which again is on the computer. So it's been a livelihood tool on top of just an incredible tool for art.
Most of my podcasting I do on I have an iPhone, I think it's 13,
right?
And my studio is my car, and so it does.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. I'm a dad. I have a full-time job and a part-time job, so usually my studio is my car. So my phone is like, yes, my little mini computer.
Well, and it is a computer. I mean, that's I was just when I was up in Santa Cruz, I was talking with the dude who had brought me up there, and we were discussing how our phone, I was, I think, answering emails, and I was doing posts like, "Hey, Benjiphonik, going up to Santa Cruz." And what was so awesome was that I have this computer in my pocket that I was able to, do all the work with. So just like you, I'm utilizing that technology, and I love it.
Question number 3, and this question might bring an idea for a song. I got a funny feeling you might get a song from this. But if you had a telephone booth, kind of like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, you can go anywhere in time to share your music. What era are you going to, and why?
Oh, that is a good question. If I'm going to share my music, I would I'm going to give you a 2-part answer.
Sure.
Either I go way into the future, like 100 years into the future, so that the music is just so crazy and different and weird and out of touch that it's novel and unique, and I'm able to like bring something to music again. Or I would slink back into like the early '90s, and I would start. Fun fact: the Benjiphonik project started as I had been in this rock and metal band that I toured with. Then I wrote a rock opera and I produced that, and a label picked that up for distribution. And then after that, I was in a project called Songhammer, and we did music for Blizzard Entertainment. We were a subcontractor for Blizzard, which was World of Warcraft and StarCraft and Overwatch. And so I would wear armor and perform at like BlizzCon or Gamescom in Germany or San Diego Comic-Con, stuff like that. And which was a wild ride in and of itself. And so I had done all these different projects, but I had never really done a hip hop project. But I've always had those elements in my music. And I grew up in the 80s. It was Run DMC, it was the Beastie Boys, it was LL Cool J, it was a Tribe Called Quest, it was all that kind of stuff. And so that, I think, what they call the golden era of hip hop. So that I would probably go back into the late '80s, maybe even, and just I would want a hobnob with some of those cats because they're so amazingly great. But also, I just love to do hip hop in that era because it's so much fun, and it was just so experimental and free, and just so different. And so the when I did the project Benjiphonik, I decided, hey, I want to kind of do a heavy nod to that era. And so there's a lot of very boom bap influence in the music that I create now.
I love some of your pictures. I went online and kind of checked out some of your pictures, and you kind of pasted yourself in the 80s group, 80 hip hop group. That's awesome.
You see me with the Beastie Boys, or me with Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. That's like the 70s.
Yeah. That's awesome. So
there's if you go to my channel on YouTube, I have the adventures, Benjiphonik Adventures in Hip Hop, and one of the episodes, my DJ / producer, DJ Coupon, he aka Dave Swanson at Love Juice Labs, he's a guy that I do final mixing with. We have this episode where we talk about amateur time travel, and so I made all of those pictures to like flash up on the screen, because we talk about how amateur time travel is the most expensive hobby next to golf and producing music. So those were me going back in time and spending some time with the greats of hip hop.
Speaking of go back in time, if you could invite 3 people over for dinner, the wife's making dinner for 3 people of your choosing, any profession, any artist, or who would they be and why?
Wow, that's a great question. I'm going to give you a funky answer. So here's some people that I think I'd love to meet and spend some time with. There's probably Chuck D from Public Enemy, because he was not just a huge influence on me growing up, but then also in some of the bands that I performed in, particularly Conspiracy of Thought and the Red Fist Revolution, the stuff that I did the rock opera for. But Chuck D would definitely be like top of the list. Probably Bono from U2. I would love to spend time with him and just maybe rub elbows with greatness there. And so those are 2 people that I definitely think spending some time with would be awesome. And here's the curveball, probably maybe like Jimmy Carter, and just talking about Habitat for Humanity, and just maybe political situations, and also just how to do greater humanitarian work around the world. Those were all kind of political people, I just realized. but those are the people.
Okay. And the last question is, what are your top places on your bucket list to perform at?
Wow, that is a good question. I feel like I've been insanely blessed because I've got to perform at some really neat places. uh, like I've done not arenas or anything, but House of Blues or things like that, or the Whiskey a Go Go, or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got to perform at places like San Diego Comic Con or BlizzCon in Anaheim, the Anaheim Convention Center, or even Gamescom in Germany, which was that it's the largest video game convention in the world,
Oh, wow.
150,000 attendees.
Wow.
And so it's just that was definitely the biggest show I've ever played. It was crazy. But where would I want to play? I don't know. That's a great question. I have this and have had this mantra ever since I was playing in the touring band Conspiracy of Thought. It was 5 or 5,000, and actually, a great example is I just did a street party up in Santa Cruz, and so it was like neighborhood, people and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't huge, but it was really fun, and I gave everything I had, and so whether the audience is big or whether it's small, I just always want to bring as much joy as I can to people's lives, and try and edify them with some music and some silliness, and and that's my goal in life right now, at least.
That's
And
awesome.
so that's it.
For those out there who might not know who you are, could you give us a little brief bio about yourself? Where you're from, married, kids, and
Yeah,
favorite
yeah.
ice cream?
Yeah. So the favorite ice cream is probably Rocky Road because I like it smooth and chunky, and Benjiphonik likes it smooth and chunky. And so, as far as I'm married. I have a wife who is my benefactor. She's the patron of the arts, making it all happen. She's a school teacher. I couldn't do what I do. I couldn't have done what I've done all these years if she wasn't supporting and helping and being there. And she is the apple of my eye, as it were, and incredibly awesome. Deborah Phonic, shout out to Deborah Phonic.
Woo-hoo.
And I as far as Benjiphonik, I'm a bald dude who, decided that he was going to start stealing some beats and spitting some rhymes. And I wanted to give this big nod to old school hip hop and alternative rock. And I wanted to mesh those two things together, which isn't anything new, but it's something that's just fun. And then I wanted to tell a bunch of wacky, fun stories, and maybe even some meaningful ones.
Okay.
And that's kind of the bio. And as far as past projects, again, I was in rock bands, and doing some scoring work, and doing a little bit of TV work, and which I still do. And that's it. That's Benjiphonik in a nutshell.
I did an opening introduction and I recorded it for you. And I kind of curious, what is a 2-time BlitzCon award-winning song?
Oh, okay, that's great. So the project that I did with that was called Songhammer, and so I'm a former member in that band, and it BlizzCon is a convention that Blizzard Entertainment throws if not every year, every other year. And they're the video game company who makes World of Warcraft and StarCraft
Okay.
and Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm, all these different games. They have a convention that they do at the Anaheim Convention Center, and they were doing a original song competition. And so a songwriter friend and myself both wrote songs, and then we kind of worked on each other's pieces, and we did it in my home studio, and then we submitted, and one of the pieces won. And so we were able to they brought us to BlizzCon. We got some money for winning, and it started a project. We decided to kind of form a band, and the next BlizzCon that came around, they were going to have a talent competition as well. And so we entered the talent competition with a full band and wearing armor, and we really went for it. Submitted some material, and they let us come and perform, and we won that. And
Oh,
so after that, Blizzard Entertainment started hiring us as a subcontractor to go to events, and we then started writing more music. And like when the game Overwatch was in beta, they had us come in, and we got to play with the development team, take notes, and then we wrote a song about Overwatch, and then we premiered that. They sent us to Germany, and we premiered that at Gamescom in Germany, and it just kind of was this really fun, ride.
That's
And
all.
so that's BlizzCon is a big video game convention, and it kind of sparked the beginning of that run.
I'm curious to know who was there who inspired you or perhaps encouraged you to be a musician.
You know what, I'm gonna say it was definitely my parents, but probably mostly my dad. My dad had a huge collection of records and vinyl, wax, and we had a basement in our house, and he got me a little. It wasn't a little. It was a pretty decent record player, and he had those huge black and white headphones, like from the 70s.
Yep.
And so I would put those things on, and I would plug the headphones into the record player, and I would do it that way because I wanted to hear stereo. And so I'd be listening to like Steve Miller Band, like Fly Like an Eagle, or I would be listening to the Beatles, Abbey Road, or Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was probably my favorite record. And granted, this is in the 80s. And so these are all old records at that point,
Yeah.
but it was just my dad's old record collection. Much like hip hop during that time was raiding that same era's music and starting to take it and use it in songs and all that. It was also influencing me. It was influencing a new generation in that way. It was influencing me by, just listening to these phenomenal, world changing records. And that's really what started me off wanting to create music.
I loved music. My dad had it was like a casket. It was a stereo record player.
Right.
That, oh my God, they were huge. And he had headphones as well. Probably a 15-foot, 20-foot cord extension. I get in his recliner and throwing like the Statler Brothers and Oak Ridge Boys.
Right. Yeah. Right. All of your parents' records.
Yeah. Yeah. Old school. Old. I still like they're still alive, I think, most of those guys. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you performed at? Where was that? What that experience was like for you?
The first place I ever performed?
Yes, sir.
Performed music or performed in general?
We'll go to both.
The first place I ever performed was probably like some church play. In fact, it wasn't some church play. I was a little kid, and I was in Laguna, California, in the Laguna Niguel area, and I was in some nativity play for Christmas. I think I was a shepherd or something. So I was wearing like one of my parents' bathrobes, and I was in there, and I had some line like "We bring gifts" or something, and that was it. And I literally can remember. I must have been 5 years old, or 6 maybe, and I remember being up in front of everybody. I say my line, and I'm just thinking, I have power. Look at me. I'm in front of everybody. And I don't know. It was like the spark. And so then I would get in any play I could be in after that. It was school plays, it was church plays, it was whatever I could get in. And then when I got into high school, I started learning how to play the bass guitar, and then the guitar itself, the 6-string guitar. And that became my musical journey. The first show that I ever played was at a little club in Riverside, and it was with the band called Conspiracy of Thought, which was my first like formal band, and it ended up being a 15-year project. We recorded 9 albums. It was really, and those guys they're my family, and it became a kind of a love story of sorts, of just being able to play so long and just get along and be kind of family to one another. And so that's I guess that's it.
I've had the opportunity to interview a number of musicians, and I truly believe your style is the most unique and one of a kind. When did Benjiphonik really become Benjiphonik?
In 2018, I had just stopped doing the Songhammer project, and I was kind of wide open. I had worked on so many different styles, and in the Songhammer project, we had done everything from pop to rock to acoustic ballads to, because we were performing at conventions, so we had to have like a very broad swath of music, and we could play metal or we could play rock, but we also needed to have these other elements. Well, being able to realizing that, hey, I can write all these other genres of music as well, and then that impetus of, I've never actually focused on rap and hip hop as being something viable. I started doing research, and so I researched by watching documentaries, by trying to get interviews and books and different things like that. I stumbled onto this Netflix series called Evolution of Hip Hop, or Hip Hop Evolution is what it's called. And it is probably the most concise and best series I've ever seen as far as mapping out music.
Mm-hmm.
And they started all the way from the very beginning, like DJ Kool Herc in 1973, August 11th throws the very first ever hip hop party. And then it talks about Grandmaster Flash and Afrika Bambaataa, and I mean, literally the holy trinity of hip hop, the guys who started it. And then going all the way until modern times. I think there's like 3 or 4 seasons. I think it's 4 seasons. It's phenomenal, but it just got my juices flowing, and I just started thinking, oh my gosh, I can do that. I think I can do this. And so, but unlike original hip hop, I didn't want to try sampling records because of copyright infringement and all of the things that the first generation of hip hop got in trouble for. So I was like, okay, I'm going to literally write the songs, and then I'm going to sample from myself.
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I did. I started writing pieces. Sometimes I'd write a whole song and hack it all up. Sometimes I'd just write one loop of something and I'd use it for the entire song. And then I gave myself some rules. Okay, everything has to have a contiguous beat, something that goes throughout the whole thing, and I can reduce it or make it bigger, but I'm going to stick to that beat. And then the other thing was, I want to have the reoccurring loops and do that. And so I kind of gave myself some rules. I broke those rules plenty, but I was trying to, trying to stick to it. And that's really what the birth of the other element of Benjiphonik is that Benjiphonik has an awful lot of tongue in cheek. It's an awful lot of me making fun of myself, and like the title track of the first EP is "We Still Hip Hop," and I'm talking about literal cultural appropriation. We're stealing an art form from the people that made it, and actually, when it comes down to it, whether any modern music has all come from, African music. And so whether it be the gospel music, whether it be blues, whether it be jazz, whether it be R&B, whether it be rock and roll, whether it be hip hop, all of that, every single one of those genres came from African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of wanted to cheekily, honor that as well. I'm a nerd. I'm doing my thing, but at the same time, I seriously am venerating the craft and trying to say, "Hey, I love you. Thank you for doing this for us."
What does your inspiration come from when you're writing songs? Is it life experiences or topics, or maybe you're just wired differently?
Yeah, I like to think of it as it's life experiences. A good example would be like the song "Spy versus Spy." So I'm talking about my you know my life as a part-time spy. Yeah, no, I'm messing around. I was never a part-time spy, although I tell people that I was, like I did at this block party. I said, a lot of you didn't know this, but I'm a part-time spy. I wrote that song as like a tribute to all of my favorite James Bond characters, which was you know, the current, well, not anymore the current Bond, because he's gone now, but
What?
and then Sean Connery and then Roger Moore. And so, but you're asking what, you know, what inspires the music, or what I write from.
Yeah.
It, I think sometimes it's just a cheeky idea. Like, I think, what's going to make people giggle, or what makes me giggle, you know? And I'm like, okay, you know, writing about spies, and, you know, and saying stupid things like, you know, I don't know, cycloptic baboons on the moon are so mean, you know, that makes me giggle. And so I want to write about that. And, and then, you know, whimsical songs like "I Don't Even Know Where I've Been" is just, you know, kind of this, you know, I'm so clueless, I have no clue, but at the same time I'm just loving life and enjoying the journey.
Well, so we'll backtrack a little bit. We'll ask you about some of your songs. You give me a brief sentence for each of your songs, of these songs.
Okay.
Rising Star.
Yeah, so Rising Star is about finding the hidden potential in people.
Okay. I don't know. I love your dance moves. Do you choreograph your own dance moves?
Oh, yes. I do things like I look up, you know, bad dance moves of the 1990s, and I teach those to myself, and then that's what I do for the video.
Gotcha. I got old because I was born in the 70s, so a lot of 80s and 90s references. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is, I got old is literally maybe one of the more accurate and realistic songs about myself.
You should forget I got old and gray, or no hair.
Yeah. Well, and one of the lines is, you know, what you gonna do when them hairs turn gray? I said, they already gray, babe. What you trying to say? I got old.
I love Spy versus Spy. I'm a big James Bond fan, so I
that-
love watching that one as well.
Yeah, Spy versus Spy. The fun story behind that song was, I was sitting there, like, I got the idea to do this song that was like a tribute to James Bond. I started writing down lyrics, and I just started cracking myself up, and I wrote down the line, I turn eyes in Versace and lace, then I use kung fu to get up out of this place. I wrote that down, and then I just start laughing. My wife's like, what are you doing? And I just kind of ignore her. And then I wrote the cycloptic baboon line, you know, about, you know, it was the line, calm down. Just wait a minute. Take those baboons on the moon and put a pin in it. And I couldn't stop laughing. And my wife's like, what are you doing in there? I was like, I'm trying to write a song. But if it makes me giggle, or if it makes me happy, then I'm doing it.
I'm curious to know, when creating videos, how long it start from your concept, your idea, to get it filmed and recorded? Is that a long process?
It depends on the video, but not usually. Actually, a great example is Rising Star. I wanted to put the song out. I kind of realized that I had this really brief window of about 3 weeks that I could do it in. So I contacted my director, a guy named Joel Berry with Sweet Tea Films, and he's directed all of the Benjiphonik videos. And so I called him up and said, "Hey, Joel, let's start, you know, focusing on a concept. I know I want to go to space. I know I want to, you know, do some fun stuff with green screen. What can we do?" And so we hammered out kind of an idea in, I think, one phone session, and then I booked a green screen studio, and then we decided that I was going to beam down to a planet, and the planet was going to be downtown Riverside where I live. And so then I just said, okay, and I'm gonna wear like the orange space jumpsuit, and I'm gonna get a guitar, and I'm gonna pretend like I'm walking on the moon. I'll use like the snorkel, the space snorkel, and all that, you know, and just go through the downtown. People were staring at us and like, what is this guy doing? But we did that again from concept to finished finished filming, I think that was like a 3-week process, and that was pretty quick. Usually it's a couple months. Like we'll start planning, and then we get our locations done, and we get the director of photography on board, and then we go for it. But that time we just decided, hey, we're just running.
I had to admit, a few months ago, I had no idea who Ben Stewart or Benjiphonik was. I must have been under a rock. And until I came across Music Mafia Radio, and that's how I heard your song. What's it like being a part of that, the Mafia? What's it mean to you?
It has been incredible. They started playing me. I had been sending out Benjiphonik songs to radio stations. I had accumulated about 150 stations that I was sending things to, and they were everything from podcasts to radio stations to meaning terrestrial radio, and also internet stations. Well, Music Mafia Radio was one of those internet radio stations, and I had sent them a couple songs, but they have, if you've listened to Music Mafia Radio, they have incredibly good bands that are on that radio stations. I mean, I've listened to a lot of independent radio and a lot of internet radio, and I don't think I've ever heard a station quite as that finds talent like these guys do. I mean, it blew my mind. And so I had been sending music in, but I sent the song Omega Funk 10,000, and I think the title just caught Cosmic Debris's. I think it caught his fancy. It just he's like, what is this? He listened to it and loved it, and so when he started airing it, or not airing it, but playing it, I didn't even understand like their top 30 and all that kind of stuff. But then I realized, oh, he's playing me like every week. And so I started listening, and I started meeting through their chat, like all these other bands that were involved there. And I've met some of the coolest, and some of my favorite new bands are all from Music Mafia Radio now. And also some friendships like, Chris Jones or Raymond Hayden or, Jessica Linwiddie and all of these, just, the guys in Junkyard Heights, and there's just on and on. Shihori, this gal from Japan who now lives in LA, but she does music for like video games and for anime, but also her own stuff, which is incredible. And I mean, it's incredible the amount of genres that they play. And I'm kind of at the very edge, the hip hop, kind of thing is more, it's not really their thing normally, but they took a liking to me. And so, and I thank God they did, because I love the artists. I love the camaraderie. I love, it reminds me of kind of when you're in a scene, you're playing in a scene, like in your area, your town or whatever, and you start to get to know those musicians, and you just build this camaraderie and this friendship. Well, that I have that same kind of feeling with these people that are scattered all over the country and all over the world. And we, on a weekly basis, meet up in this chat room, and we're all encouraging each other and talking, and people are collaborating with one another on projects and doing stuff. And a great example of that, or maybe the greatest example of that, would be Jessica Linwiddie and Chris Jones, two completely different. One heavy alternative rock guy, but acoustic guitar playing and kind of twangy, can be twangy with his vocals, and Jessica, who's straight up country. And then they get together, they create the Redneck Files, and they toured all summer on it.
I've had the opportunity to interview Raymond Hayden, Jessica Linwiddie, Robbie Hart, Hunter Lott, and Chris Jones. And
I love all these people.
Yeah, and so I listen when I can, and I'm not afraid to ask anybody for a chance to interview them, share their music, and thank you so much for allowing me to share your music. I really appreciate that. And actually, Raymond Hayden did my opening intro for my podcast, so I love collaborating with those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and Raymond is unique in that he plays in so many different groups. Another great group is Soda Cracker Jesus, and the lead singer, of Soda Cracker Jesus also sings for Strangely All Right, and so, which is Raymond. And so there's there's all these intermingling and wonderful, I don't know, dynamics that I love so much. So yeah, so thank you, Raymond, for being that connector, it's a thrill to be talking with you.
I keep telling me he's over. I live probably about an hour away from him. I said, when you get
Okay.
my neck of the woods, we're having coffee. So I'm still waiting for a chance to have coffee with him and pick his brain some more. So
I love it. Yeah, and he is an incredible songwriter, an incredible musician, a fabulous pianist, and also singing, and the whole deal. I mean, again, that the Music Mafia Radio, they call it familia. They say one familia is the tagline, and it really does come off like a family. I mean, people are supporting one another and encouraging one another, and it's been a huge blessing to me this last couple years being a part of that. And so, Kaz and Fiddy over at Music Mafia Radio, I love you.
I would love to see if they could do something like, We the World, and kind of piece together musicians from Music Mafia and make a song. That would be awesome.
Now, you were saying that I would get a song idea or something like that. That's the song idea that I get. I think that we should have a song called One Familia, and I think that that's the song that everybody would come in on.
Well, I'll be sure and tag Raymond in there. Say, hey, Raymond, get the ball rolling on this idea.
Yeah, right. Well, are you kidding? I'm writing it right now.
Sweet.
And then I'm going to call Raymond and Chris and Jessica and all that. I'm going to call. Yeah, I know you're 100% right. That is a great idea.
Speak of me, Harley.
Yeah, it's great. It's fabulous, man.
Do you have any upcoming events or projects you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, actually, I would. So on the 17th of October, depending on when this airs, I'm going to be releasing a song that I wrote for a movie, an independent film. It's the theme song for the movie, and the title track of that movie. It's called Xanadu Hellfire. It's an indie film about a little girl who is having some, just kind of trouble at school or whatever, and she figures out a way to get her comic book hero to come to life and come to her and help her. And it turns out that her comic book hero is actually a real person in the future. And so named Xanadu Hellfire. And so it's just like cheeky sci-fi fantasy comedy movie. And it's really cute. But the writers of that also wrote movies called Bloodsucker Jones. There's a character called Bloodsucker Jones. He's a vampire hunter, and he's epic. It's very fun. And I wrote and helped to write the theme song for the second Bloodsucker Jones movie with the same directors did this one. So on the 13th of October, the new song that I'm putting out as Benjiphonik will be Xanadu Hellfire. Okay. And it's totally not like any of the Benjiphonik music. It's straight up rock. It sounds like a mix between AC/DC, probably Pink Floyd, and Megadeth. And so it's going back to my other roots. But it's fun, and actually, and the movie's finished, and so the whole end of the whole entire credits of the movie is that song playing. And then I also cameoed in the film, which was really fun. And they licensed 3 other songs from me as well. A song called I'm Not Hard, the song Omega Funk 10,000, and Rising Star.
Well, let me know when those come out. I'd love to share them on the podcast for folks to listen to. Yeah,
I would love that.
Do you have a website in which folks can follow you and your videos and just kind of see what you're up to?
Absolutely. You can go to benjiphonik.com, BenjiPhonik, benjiphonik.com, or you can go Facebook/Benjiphonik, Twitter at Benjiphonik, Instagram at Benjiphonik. I picked the name because no one else had it, and I could get all the handles. So everything. Same thing with YouTube. YouTube.com/Benjiphonik. You're gonna find me.
Yeah, I was doing Chit and Chat was actually a coffee shop idea I had a number of years ago, and I figured why not bring encouragement to others to a podcast? So I added encouraging one another to my podcast. This is different than other folks. So I'm trying to maybe eventually trademark that. We'll see.
I love that kind of stuff. And, and it's encouraging to me that you wanted to even talk. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome. In this podcast, it's all about encouraging others. And my goal has always been to try to encourage somebody somewhere, and whether it's a song or perhaps encouraging words. Do you have any words of encouragement you'd like to share with someone who might be afraid to step out of their box because they're shy or timid of what other people think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm going to quote some lyrics. Is that okay?
Sure.
Because I think that the song "Rising Star," which we've talked a little bit about, about the whole, black hole and that kind of stuff, and I was using that as maybe a greater analogy, but the song is really more about us not being afraid, and us not being not allowing the world to basically hold us down and keep us in a hole. And so here's my words. It says, all the fear and all the pain, all the doubt and all the shame, the weight we feel from all the blame can feed our sleepless nights. But all the love and all the light, the song of joy, our heart's delight, and all the acts of kindness might ignite our hopes and dreams. And I think that where there is love and where there is kindness, then the world could change. And so I guess my encouragement to others is, I know that you have doubts. I know that you have shame. I know that we all have, these things that hold us down, but we need to grab onto love. We need to grab onto light, and we need to allow kindness to lead the way.
Powerful words. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining me today. And if you're ever in Washington State, let me know. I'd love to have coffee with you and pick your brain, or you can pick my brain.
I love it.
And I wish you continued success in all you do, making people smile, laugh, and maybe cry.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not afraid to do all those.
Thank you so much, Benji. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourself.
Oh, man. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome, and come back anytime. Take care.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Break for 30 seconds.
Are you craving tacos? You know what? It doesn't have to be Tuesday to have tacos. You got tacos any day of the week. At TaquizaTacoShop.com, that's TAQUIZA, tacoshop.com, they have 5 kinds of tacos. Delicious tacos, as well as chimichangas and burritos and grilled jalapenos, my favorite. Their food's fresh, authentic, made daily. They're locally owned and operated here in Silverdale, Washington. They got a food truck and a Facebook page. You can go online and check out their amazing menu. Getting you hungry? You can place an order today at 360-698-4335, or you can stop by and check out their address. Is 10315 Silverdale Way, Silverdale, Washington. As I said, it's authentic, it's fresh, and 5 kinds of tacos. Delicious. That's Taquiza. TaquizaTacoShop.com. Every day is a day for tacos. Are you craving donuts? Not those one bite and done donuts that's been sitting on your local grocery store shelf for who knows how long donuts. No, sir. Lone Star Donuts here in Silverdale, Washington has over 50 flavors of donuts and other pastry items as well. These donuts are huge, fluffy, and delicious. So why not stop by and check out Lone Star Donuts? Or you can call them and place your order 360-204-5021. Lone Star Donuts, the only kind of donut to have. I can't wait to talk to Jason Biddle here in the upcoming episodes of the Chit and Chat Encouraging One Another podcast. He has a tremendous story. And this is his song, I Need You Now.
Floodgates are opened, I can't do it no more. Desperate and broken, my knees hit the floor. I have tried to do it on my own, but I'm not astray. Never have I felt so alone. I am sorry, God, if you're there, I need you now. This is my prayer, a cry for help. Was walking in darkness, you opened the door. Was looking for answers, I need look no more. So now I lay my burdens at your feet. I see the cross, I start to feel your peace. God, if you're there, I need you now. This is my prayer, a cry for help. Show me your face, show me the way. Can you relieve this pain? Lost in the night, give me new life. Be my strength when I am weak. God, if you're there, I need you now. God, if you're there, I need you So now I lay my burdens at your feet. I see the cross, I start to feel your peace. God, if you're there, I need you now. This is my prayer, a cry for help. Show me your face, show me the way. Can you relieve this pain? I'm lost in the night, give me new life. Be my strength when I am weak. God, if you're there, I need you now. God, if you're there, I need you now. God, if you're there, I need you now. God, if you're there, I need you
This is Chit and Chat, the Encouraging One Another podcast. What it's all about, encouraging others.
Yes, it's coffee time. Coffee, 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 coffee. Cappuccino. Java, yes.